You've probably done it. I know I have, and that's to replay a conversation in our mind and ask, why didn't I say something else? Well, imagine that same question asked with greater intensity, the emotions raised exponentially, and not asked privately to yourself, but publicly by your critics. That's what the Republican presidential candidates will face later tonight and tomorrow. The first challenge for the top 10 Republicans on stage tonight in Cleveland: how do you handle a media megastar who has grown in influence and who will not hesitate to act as judge, jury, and executioner? Here's the way Newt Gingrich dealt with Megyn Kelly 4 years ago.
We have a balance of three branches. We do not have a judicial dictatorship in this country, and that's what the Federalist Papers promised us. And I would, just like Jefferson, Jackson, Lincoln, and FDR, I would be prepared to take on the judiciary if, in fact, it did not restrict itself in what it was doing.
What of the former attorneys general? These are conservative former attorneys generals who have criticized the plan. As I say, dangerous, ridiculous, outrageous, totally irresponsible.
Sure. I'd ask, first of all, have they studied Jefferson, who in 1802 abolished 18 out of 35 federal judges? 18 out of 35 were abolished.
Something that was highly criticized.
Not by anybody in power in 1802.
You've heard a lot of the pundits say that the candidates need to answer calmly, that their answers, if they're devoid of emotion, will somehow be regarded as statesmanlike. Wrong. Take a look at this exchange between CNN's Bernard Shaw and Democratic nominee Michael Dukakis from 1988.
The first question goes to Governor Dukakis. You have 2 minutes to respond. Governor, if Kitty Dukakis were raped and murdered, would you favor an irrevocable death penalty for the killer?
No, I don't, Bernard, and I think you know that I've opposed the death penalty during all of my life.
What did in Dukakis? Well, he refused to show his humanity. He could have disputed the horrible hypothetical, and he could have said how much he loved his wife and how horrific it would be to lose her in a senseless act of violence. But because he answered in detached fashion, the voters detached from him. Contrast that with another 2012 response from Newt, also dealing with marriage, in this exchange with CNN's John King.
As you know, your ex-wife gave an interview to ABC News and another interview at the Washington Post, and this story has now gone viral on the internet. In it, she says that you came to her in 1999, at a time when you were having an affair. She says you asked her, sir, to enter into an open marriage. Would you like to take some time to respond to that?
No, but I will. I think the destructive, vicious, negative nature of much of the news media makes it harder to govern this country, harder to attract decent people to run for public office, and I am appalled that you would begin a presidential debate on a topic like that.
That answer alone locked up the South Carolina primary for Speaker Gingrich, but of course he did not become President Gingrich. So it's worth noting that debates alone don't always decide elections unless, of course, you get the last word. Listen to Ronald Reagan make his closing statement at his 1980 debate with President Jimmy Carter, also held in Cleveland.
Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Is it easier for you to go and buy things in the stores than it was 4 years ago? Is there more or less unemployment in the country than there was 4 years ago? Is America as respected throughout the world as it was? Do you feel that our security is as safe, that we're as strong as we were 4 years ago? And if you answer all of those questions yes, why then I think your choice is very obvious as to who you'll vote for. If you don't agree, if you don't think that this course that we've been on for the last 4 years is what you would like to see us follow for the next 4, then I could suggest another choice that you have.
Right there, Reagan's question clarified the choice, and since it came exactly a week before Election Day, it helped make Reagan the 40th president of the United States. Now, who will become our 45th president? More than a year remains before we make that choice in 2016, but tomorrow, some of the GOP candidates will ask themselves, was I better off before last night's debate? At least, that's the way I see it. Back to talk about that debate tomorrow night. Stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.